Oil shaped the modern world. It fuels our cars, powers our factories, and drives global trade. But beneath every barrel is a financial secret, a system that turned oil into the most powerful weapon of economic dominance in history. This is the unseen story of the petrodollar, how the US dollar became the king of the world by controlling the world's energy. In the early 1970s, the American economy stood on cliff edge. For decades, the world trusted the dollar because it was backed by gold. But the Vietnam War drained US wealth at a terrifying speed. Foreign investors, suspicious of America's spending, lined up to exchange their dollars for gold, as promised under Bretton Woods system. But there was just one problem. The US didn't have enough gold to back the dollar circulating globally. So in 1971, President Richard Nixon made a move that would change history forever. He ended the dollar's convertibility into gold. In one broadcast, one signature, the gold standard died. Currencies began to float and global trust became fragile. If the dollar could no longer be trusted as gold, America needed something even more essential, something the entire world could not survive without, and that something was oil. While America was worried, the Middle East was rising. Nations like Saudi Arabia sat atop vast oceans of petroleum, the lifeblood of modern civilization. Cars, jets, industries, war machines, all ran on oil. Those who controlled the oil controlled the world. The US saw a critical opportunity. If oil could replace gold as the backbone of the dollar, then the dollar would remain essential, not by tradition, but by need. But first, they needed the cooperation of the most powerful oil producer, Saudi Arabia. The moment that would reshape global power came during chaos. 1973, the Yom Kippur War. When the US supported Israel, the Arab world retaliated with an oil embargo. Gas stations in America ran dry, lines stretched for miles, economies trembled, and stock market panicked. Oil had revealed its power. Washington understood the message clearly. If the US didn't control oil, someone else would control the US. So in 1974, behind closed doors, a secret agreement was struck. Saudi Arabia would sell its oil only in US dollar, not gold, not pound, not franc, only dollars. In return, America would protect Saudi Arabia militarily and politically for generations to come. Other OPEC nations soon followed, and with these quiet handshakes, the petrodollar was born. Suddenly, if any country wanted oil, it first needed dollar. Japan, India, Europe, China, everyone needed dollars. Demand for the US currency skyrocketed. But the real brilliance of the petrodollar system was that the dollar spent by countries on oil flowed back into the US through investments and bonds. America printed money. The world shipped real oil and goods, and then willingly reinvested the paper back into the US economy. It was like owning a limitless credit card that everyone else paid the bill for. The US dollar became stronger than any army, and America became the financial empire of the world. But a system built on power rarely gets unchallenged, and those who tried to break free from the petrodollar paid a heavy price. In early 2000, Saddam Hussein decided to sell Iraq's oil in euros. 3 years later, Iraq was invaded. After the dust settled, its oil once again sold into dollars. Libya's leader, Muammar Gaddafi, proposed a gold-backed African currency, a challenge to both the dollar and European influence. In 2011, he was overthrown, his vision buried with him. Iran attempted to bypass the dollar through alternative currencies. The US responded with crushing sanctions. Many believe the petrodollar's survival depends on eliminating threats, quietly or forcefully. But the biggest challenge would not come from the Middle East, but from the world's new industrial giant, China. China consumes more oil than any other country today, so Beijing launched a new idea: oil contracts priced in Chinese yuan, with the yuan convertible to gold. A new financial competitor emerged, the petro-yuan. Russia, Iran, the UAE. Several nations have begun supporting the shift. Even Saudi Arabia, the very foundation of the petrodollar, has started signaling openness to yuan and oil trade. And for the first time in half a century, the petrodollar trembles. Across the world, central banks are buying unprecedented amount of gold. Countries are bypassing the Western-dominated SWIFT banking network. BRICS nations are planning new payment systems and maybe even a shared currency. The question that once felt unthinkable is now being asked everywhere. Does the world still need the dollar? If the answer becomes no, everything changes. Demand for dollar will fade, America's ability to borrow cheaply will shrink, its financial influence will weaken, power will shift from west to east, perhaps to a multi-currency world dominated by several blocks instead of one. The petrodollar built the 20th century order, but the new currency brings new priorities. Renewable energy, electric vehicles, digital currencies backed by technology instead of oil, and when money changes, global power changes with it. For decades, the petrodollar system allowed the US to consume more, borrow more, and rule more, while the world paid the price. The system was brilliant, the system was controversial, and the system made the dollar the undisputed ruler of global finance. But every empire has its peak, every empire has its limits, every currency has its challenger. Oil became money, money became power, and that power shaped the world we live in today. The age of oil is slowly slipping away, and the age that replaces it will decide who controls the future. What happens in the future? We will find out in the future.